Good evening, everyone. This is AFSANA. I have done my master's from Jamia Millia Islamia, and I am going to present a research paper for the topic Quantitative Proteomics of Cerebrospinal Fluid in Pediatric Pneumococcal Meningitis for BioPractify. Let's first meet the author, Dr. Guadalupe Gomez. She is postdoctoral research associate in the University of Liverpool. Her major area of research are cyanobacteria, prochlorococcus, urinary biomarkers in dairy cow, cerebrospinal fluid biomarkers of bacterial meningitis in children, and major proteins in mice and rats' urine. Since the study majorly deals with the meningitis, so let's first discuss what is meninges and then what is meningitis. Meninges are the membranous covering that surrounds the brain and protects it. There are three types of meninges. The outermost one is the durameter, the middle one is the arachnoid, and the innermost one, that is the thinnest one, it is pyometer. The space between the durameter and the arachnoid is called subdural space, and the space between the arachnoid and pyometer is called subarachnoid space. The subarachnoid space also contains cerebrospinal fluid, which connects the whole brain and helps in the transfer of different fluids, proteins, nutrients, etc. So when this meninges gets infected by maybe bacteria or virus, then meningitis occurs. It is the inflammation of the meninges. The since meningitis could be caused by a different bacteria or virus, so there are a lot of chances that different symptoms could be caused. But in this study, the main area will be Streptococcus pneumonia. In the meningitis, different symptoms could be seen like fever, headache, hearing loss, brain damage, or even death in extreme cases. I'll discuss the objective of the study. In this, the aim of the study was to identify the protein changes that the proteins that are present in the cerebrospinal fluid of the children that were suffering from the meningitis due to the Streptococcus pneumonia. And these protein changes were compared to the proteins present in the cerebrospinal fluid of the children, which who showed the symptoms of the meningitis, but when diagnosed, they were negative for the streptococcal pneumonia. So we have two groups. The one is the control. They showed the symptoms of the meningitis, but they were negative for the streptococcal pneumonia. The other group is infected by the streptococcal pneumonia. The methodology was first the samples were collected from the kids in an ethical way, and obviously the parents were consented. The cerebrospinal fluid samples were cultured in the sheep blood, and the DNA and proteins were collected with the help of PCR and centrifugation. Then the proteins were digested with the trypsin and LCMS were done. LCMS is liquid chromatography mass spectroscopy. The raw data that was collected from the liquid chromatography mass spectrometry were then processed, and they were processed with the help of different databases like mascot database, and they were processed for the identification of the protein that were present in the cerebrospinal fluid. So with the help of the mascot database, different proteins were identified, and the resulting proteomics were then deposited in the proteome exchanger consortium. After the identification of the protein, quantification of the protein were done, label-free quantification with the software called Progenesis QI software. And to confirm the quantification, once again, quantitative Western blotting were done, and then the pathways were analyzed. Let's discuss the results. The raw data that were collected from the mass spectrometry was analyzed through the mascot database. And when the result came, it could be seen in the figure 1 that the control showed very less number of proteins in the cerebrospinal fluid as compared to the infected samples. The proteins were very high in the cerebrospinal fluid. In the figure 2, we can see that around 190 proteins were commonly found in the control and the infected samples, but 111 proteins were exclusively found in the controls, and around 411 proteins were exclusively found in the infected samples. And out of these exclusive proteins, there were numerous proteins of immune response. Since the infection was there, so immune response was very active and numerous immune cells could be seen. Apart from the immune response, bacterial proteins were also highly present in the infected samples because due to the presence of the streptococcal pneumonia, and exosomes and extracellular vesicles were there to take in and out different products from the cells in the infected samples. After that, after the identifying of the protein, quantification of the proteins of cerebrospinal fluid were done, and it was done in 2 groups. In both the groups, controls and infected samples were there. Around 214 proteins groups were either upregulated or downregulated in sample group 1, and around 234 protein groups were either upregulated or downregulated in group 2. The overall profile of proteins were visualized in the heat maps and normalizing protein expression by the Z score. So in the figure, it can be easily seen that in the infected samples, the number of proteins are way too much as compared to the controls. This is the principal component analysis of cerebrospinal fluid, and it was done with the ProGenesis QI software. And these, in the figure, it could be very clearly seen that the red ones, the infected samples, are very high in number and they are highly variable. And each log protein summed intensity as a Z score. The quantification of confidently identified and quantified proteins were done. The very common proteins were like complement C3, alpha-2 macroglobulin, complement CAA, lactotransferrin, alpha-1 antitrypsin. So various proteins were there that were very high in number in the infected samples. The whiskers indicate the 95% to 5% boundaries, and the horizontal bar indicates the median. Apart from that, the blue color represents the control and the red color represents the infected samples. The last 2 shaded proteins indicate that they get down regulated in the infected samples, and the proteins are FAMC3 and cystatin C. They get down regulated in the infected sample. After the quantification, confirmed quantification was done through Western blotting to be more sure. And some cerebrospinal fluid proteins were taken. There are 5 cerebrospinal fluids were taken, and they are protein S100A9, myeloperoxidase, cathelicidin, ceruloplasmin, cystatin C. And in these proteins, the figure CDEF, we can see that all these proteins get upregulated, or they are highly present in the infected samples, but not in the control. But in the last figure, figure G, cystatin could be seen down-regulated in the infected sample. And this down-regulation indicates that its role is very important or very high in the protecting the nerves or brain of different infections or diseases. These results of the different 5 proteins indicates they could be potential of these proteins could be work as potential biomarkers for the pneumococcal meningitis and their utility in understanding diseases mechanism. Let's discuss the pathophysiology and how the Streptococcus pneumonia infects anyone. When the cerebrospinal fluid reflects the central nervous system's pathology, and the quantitative proteomics helps to uncover different diseases like acute bacterial meningitis. In acute bacterial meningitis, bacteria disrupts the blood-brain barrier and enters the cerebrospinal fluid and the blood of the brain. Due to this, numerous immune system gets activated and neutrophils, macrophages, different lymphocytes enters the brain. And the mass number of immune cells triggers the inflammation. Now, these immune systems starts fighting the infection. Apart from the immune cells, there are different cells like lipocalin, myeloperoxidase, lysozyme, lactotransferrin. They also helps to fight the infection. In particular case of pneumococcal meningitis, different plasma proteins are there. A special plasma protein is there called hemopaxin and heptoglobulin. And they get highly upregulated and they detoxify the cerebrospinal fluid. But on the contrary, they start damaging the tissue due to the high level of reactive oxygen radicals or reactive species. Complement system is also gets activated during the meningitis or during the infection. Both classical and the alternate pathway gets activated. The C6, C7, and C8 forms the membrane attack complex on the surface of the bacteria and tries to rupture the membrane so that it gets killed. And this way, it promotes the immune defense and cell lysis. So complement system also helps a lot to prevent the disease. Let's discuss some key findings and conclusion. In pneumococcal meningitis, coagulation occurs in the blood and inflammation of tissues could be seen, inflammation of the brain cells could be seen, and various protease activity takes place. All these things leads to the cerebrovascular complications and ultimately the brain gets damaged, leading to even death. All these cases, in all these cases, some proteins gets very elevated, like C-reactive proteins, fibrinogen, MMP9, vimentin, and cathepsin B. All these proteins get upregulated, but caspases were not detected in the meningitis. In a pneumococcal meningitis, one protein is there, vitronectin, that helps and aids the bacteria to get attached on the surface. It provides a site for the attachment and evasion. And due to this, it could be a potential drug target. Apart from the vitronectin, Streptococcus pneumoniae membrane proteins and glucose metabolism enzymes could also be a potential target for the drug. Further analysis confirmed transform proteomics and showed correlations between selected proteins and cerebrospinal fluid white blood cells reflecting an active host response. Research plans that could further the study could be conduct validation studies on identified proteins in bacterial meningitis. Since the study of individual proteins could depthen the knowledge of individual proteins and also the study the pathogen, which could help in disease control, investigate specific functions and mechanism of action of key proteins. This will also help in helping to make drugs. Further, develop identical proteins as potential biomarkers or expand research on exosomes for vaccine development or maybe drug delivery. Explore genetic variations related to identified proteins. Investigate microbiological aspects of Streptococcus pneumoniae infection and implement multi-omics approaches to understand disease mechanisms comprehensively. Thank you. That was it from my side.